Ever since NFL athletes began making a ton of money, there have been players who have spent it on some absurd items. Here's some of the most ridiculous purchases made by NFL players. Sam Hurd. The financial transgressions of even Vince Young are light in comparison to the former Chicago Bears receiver Sam Hurd and what he decided to do with his cash. Hurd spent the first 4 years of his career with the Dallas Cowboys before joining the Bears on a 3-year, $5.15 million contract. In December of his first season with Chicago, Hurd was arrested on federal drug charges. It sounds bad, but it's worse than you think. Hurd reportedly told an undercover federal agent he wanted to buy 5 to 10 kilos of cocaine and 1,000 pounds of marijuana each week. According to CBS Chicago, Hurd planned on supplying drugs to multiple NFL players as well as the Chicago area in general. Hurd represents one of the craziest and worst things NFL players could do after receiving a new contract. He's currently sitting in jail after buying 30 pounds of marijuana and testing positive twice for the drug while on parole. Mckinney. Sometimes, even when NFL players are being advised to be careful with their money, they manage to make some of the most ludicrous expenditures possible. Such was the case with Minnesota Vikings offensive lineman Mckinney, who, during an NFL lockout, spent $100,000 on a bar tab. The purchases were made at the My House nightclub during the NFL All-Star kickoff party. Included in the tab were 15 very expensive bottles of champagne. Docket. While some purchases are outrageously expensive, others are ridiculously bizarre. Such is the case for Docket. Darnell spent his money on a pet alligator. The Arizona Cardinals defensive tackle also utilized social networking to publicize his purchase. Docket even tweeted that he wanted to bring his pet alligator, Nino, to work. I'm guessing the Cardinals weren't exactly excited about the idea. Joe Namath. Joe Namath is one of the most iconic players to ever pass through the National Football League. Few images have contributed more to Namath's iconic status than the quarterback wearing his fur coat on the bench beside other Jets players. To buy a fur coat as extravagant as the one Namath purchased is ridiculous enough, but to wear it on the sidelines of an NFL game, well, that's just Broadway Joe being Broadway Joe. Vick. When Michael Vick was a young member of the Atlanta Falcons, he made his fair share of mistakes. One of them, although nowhere near his biggest mistake, was buying an $85,000 fish pond. Since going to prison, Vick's life seems to have changed for the better, and this type of lavish spending doesn't seem to be part of who he is anymore. Vince Young. File this one under the not shocking tab. Vince Young is broke. After being selected with the number 3 overall pick in the 2006 NFL Draft, Young scored a 6-year, $58 million deal with $26 million guaranteed. As they say, the rest is history. Young splurged in a big way during his rookie season, but nothing was more flabbergasting than his trips to Cheesecake Factory and TGI Fridays. According to Clay Travis, a man who interviewed a variety of workers at establishments Young would visit, Young and his entourage would pile up $5,000 tabs at minimum each time they visited. At a Cheesecake Factory, one former employee specifically remembers a tab running well over $6,000. Young's carelessness with money extended to other areas of his life, including travel. According to NESN, Young wanted some peace on a flight with Southwest, so he bought every ticket on the plane. It's reported that Young reportedly once bought out an entire Southwest flight from Nashville to Houston, aside from 10 passengers who had bought tickets before he laid claim. That's about 120 tickets on a flight that probably cost $100 per. With the amount of carelessness displayed in his rookie season alone after landing that big of a contract, it should come as no surprise that this is the same man who took out a $300,000 loan while broke to throw himself a birthday party. Ocho Cinco. The only person in the NFL who could buy a $100,000 semi-truck and not draw much shock or awe is Ocho Cinco. The guy lives for attention. And what better way to get it than by purchasing a big rig, loud, gas-guzzling truck for his 32nd birthday? Ocho Cinco drove the truck, complete with an engraving of his name near the door to his game against the New York Jets in 2010, which made for quite the entrance. Ocho Cinco. No one should be surprised that Ocho Cinco made this list twice. After all, there's not much the star wide receiver does that isn't ridiculous. Can we blame him for this one, though? If you're a player on the Cincinnati Bengals, don't you kind of have to go out and buy a pet Bengal tiger? Probably not, but still, that's the way Chad invested his money. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe.